You're watching Taste of Victory.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are now very well into the X3 meta, so we have tons of tournament results to look over and glean some data from for our English format. So first of all, thank you to Eggman and all the TOs responsible for compiling this data. Shout outs to them and show them some love on YouTube if you have not yet. But this is about 3 weeks worth of data, so we do have some trends we can start analyzing here, which is great. First things first, I can tell you guys right now, Melga, aka Metal Garurumon X, is by far the most represented deck in North America. It is really popular in terms of entry levels and in terms of making it towards the top 16 and top 32. But looking quickly, we can see there is a trend. Here's the first event all the way like 4 weeks back, ran by PBG. We see no Bloom here making it to top 16, but we see some pretty big representation, making it the second most popular deck the next week at Top Cut. And then after that, same weekend, I believe, was Cartamachika, seeing Security Control pop up, presumably to answer Metal Garurumon X, and we still got some Bloom representation. And we see finally Bloom is taking over a lot of the big spots in the latest week, which just passed this weekend. So let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this. First up was that PPG tournament. This was 4 weeks ago. We see Wargreymon X actually took this one. There is a profile for that deck on this channel. This was by Gray, who did a profile with us, so very gracious to them. Congratulations to them. But we see there also was another one within top 8, which is the 3rd place Wargreymon X. Congratulations to Kyle Bennon. Then we got Yellow Hybrid, which actually ended up taking 2nd. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, see how much of that is Yellow Hybrid like traditionally and how much of it is like Venusmon answering the Metal Garurumon X decks. And if we take a look at it, yeah, we see 3 Venusmon because that card single-handedly basically shuts down the entirety of Metal Garurumon X decks. So it makes a lot of sense. We got this new card, which is basically Chaos Degrade, very similar to it, except it's based on security. And then we got a bunch of Tamers and the typical Yellow Hybrid strategy. We got Repamon here. If they try to go wide on you, you could just drop that, and then same with the Death X spawn as an idea. And the very unique thing here is we got the Lopmon engine. We see we got Suzy here. Shuchong Wong is her actual original name. And we got the Lopmon package to play them out for free and get some momentum off of them, because these like recover and also draw you a card and get one out of your security. So they're pretty cool for keeping up momentum. I like the concept of this, and it's really awesome to see this do well. 2nd place 2 weeks ago. From there on, we see Metal Garurumon takes up a lot of the rest of the spots, but we see a Mastamon did make it into the top 8 at 6th place. We're going to see in a bit that another one made it into one of the other events, so it's pretty cool to see that Mastamon has that little niche still in X3. And it's only going to get more support very soon in BT11, so maybe time to be hyped up for that deck if you are a fan of it. We do see that a D-brigade managed to make it in, showing that it is still a really good road deck, and some Gallantmon. After that, we have 2 representations of armor, which is pretty interesting. I think it really shows how valuable being able to rush down in this meta is if you're able to keep pace with something like Metal Garurumon X. So not to spend too much time on the very old 4-week ago tournament, let's go ahead and move on to Top Cut. This was 450 players. This one, Metal Garurumon, was by far the most representation in this event in terms of the tops. This one had 5 of top 8 being Metal Garurumon X, because it is just such a good deck. Kyle Kemper, Christian Go making the first top 2. And then we could take a quick look at it, but I believe most of these decks are going to play very similar. Yep, there's the Omnimon old one and the Omnimon X, and then basically the package that you need. The one Gabumon that became a really nice tech towards the end of BT10, because it just helps you set up for future plays. But if we go back after that, we see Hydramon, which is basically Bloom Lordmon. It's basically the core of the deck. Hydramon just supports Bloom Lordmon. So there we see, yeah, 3-3 split with the Nidhoggmon, since you're suspending so much stuff, and the cheeky Death X-Mon that everyone's going to be running at 1 in case people try to go wide against you as well. Other than that, you have basically in-archetype names, so a lot of the same stuff of typical Bloom Lords. But we see that Bloom Lord is starting to creep up a bit there because it is a solid deck. I think Bloom Lord Hydramon really helps you keep pace with other meta decks in this format. It's fast, it lets you go wide, or you could go tall and maybe only get like 2 or 3 bodies on board and still create a pretty powerful Bloom Lord, so you don't have to necessarily play into Death X, you know, because that's one of the best counters to it. There is ways to play around it. So I think the flexibility of this deck will let it top more, as we'll see soon. And then we got Security Control still popping in there with 2 representations. We got a Gaiomon, which has traditionally gotten 1 top or 2 within all of the formats since its introduction, because it's a pretty good package. It's really solid, and it's only going to get even better in the next format since it gets support in BT11. Blue Flare finally sees its first top, as far as I'm aware, in X3 in terms of these big TO events. So that's really cool, coming in just at 12th place. And then we got some more Yellow Hybrids. Really, Yellow Hybrid probably barely distinguished from Security Control. But what this creeping up in representation is telling me is that if you have an option to card counter Melga, you're going to do well as a deck. A lot of people may not be running it because they, you know, there's that thought that the deck is still dead. But it is pretty good answer to Metal Garurumon because, like I said, Venusmon is just absolutely insane in terms of countering Metal Garurumon, and then you can just kind of build your board of tamers, you know, rush them out when you're ready. Metal Garurumon doesn't really have too much of an answer to that because they can't just drop a Death X on you because their lists are so tight they can't afford to be able to run a tech like that. There would otherwise be a brick in Metal Garurumon. Well, that's pretty cool diversity that we're seeing. It's starting to creep up a bit after Metal Garurumon took up a bunch of spots. Then we move on to Cartamachika, which I believe is the same weekend as Top Cut, if I'm not mistaken. We see Metal Garurumon is still fighting neck and neck for most representation in the top 8. This one was 260 players. Venusmon, they're representing security control. We have security control 2 slots this time, 3 actually, with yellow hybrid taking up 2 more, making a total of 5 more or less for that kind of like yellow hybrid, yellow control decks, you know. So that basically more confirmation that if you could answer Melga, you're doing very well. So go ahead and take a look at the security control specifically and see how different it is from the yellow hybrids we've been seeing. We do see a lot more option based here. Yet we have the Avenge Kid, that little loop to keep yourself from decking out. It looks like the one calling that you could run so you don't have to worry about it. And Blade of the Truth is pretty interesting. It's just a 2 cost to be able to draw 1 from your hand. For every 2 security you have. So that's nice. We have Sakuyamon because this guy really hates Metal Garurumon and wants to make sure it can't do anything against you. The 2 megas here back to back that basically absolutely shut down that deck. So it makes a lot of sense here. Definitely a lot more of a control aspect with the 4 degrades, 4 sights. Makes it super annoying. Makes Melga's life miserable. But it's still topping because it's a really good deck. And then we have Examon that took the entire tournament. So congratulations to Tev Anderson. Amazing to see this deck doing well so soon already. So Examon is really awesome. You're building a giant boss monster that forces your opponent to attack into it, and then you block and just slap them. You just slap the heck out of them because you're so big at that point, you know? So you can force opponents to pass turn with a combination of Ice Wall, or you can just eat up their turn by destroying their Digimon. Pretty popular build here. It looks a lot like what we see from other people, except we are on 3 Examon and 3 Breakdramon. I think Breakdramon makes sense at 3 because 4 is kind of bricky. It's not really the one you want to prioritize getting out compared to Slayer Dramon. 3 Examon is a little surprising because I think you really want to see that, but there's good search in the deck. You know, you have 3 Davis here and you have little draw power from Core Dramon, so there's opportunities to get into it. And of course, there are the egg choices. They chose to max out on the new Bebedo from X3. All turns once per turn when his Digimon is Examon or Dramon in its name, get 1000 DP for the turn. If it becomes unsuspended. So that's really important to make sure you have big enough DP to live over certain Digimon when swinging and delete them instead of trading with your force block. So it's really awesome to see this deck made it as far as it did. I'd be curious to see what matchups it had because I definitely want to see like how many Melgos it was able to answer. And then we got Bloom Lord again creeping up a little bit there. dorbicmon ended up making a top here, so do not sleep on dorbicmon. This was by Caden Pasanakul, so that is pretty nice there. And we have the dorbicmon list here. It looks like you got the little Cow's Gamamon there, the other Gamamon that just kind of Wastemon, his ultimate. Then we got dorbicmon at 4 and a bunch of other stuff. So truthfully, I do not know how this deck plays whatsoever, and seeing this stuff in the list, like, it's so crazy. It looks like a hodgepodge of random cards to me. You got black stuff here from the new X3 decks. You got Majiramon, which used to be played back in like BT7, BT6. So this is pretty funny to see this here when Digivolving trash 1 Digivolution card from the top one of your opponent's Digimon. It's inherited. Your opponent has no Digimon with Digivolution cards you can play. You can unsuspend his Digimon, which is really good for the, I'm assuming for the aggression, because dorbicmon's Digicross requirement, I believe, is just, well, let's click here. It is just -2 for every 5 Digimon cards with different names plus the Dragon trait. So you do kind of just get to toss in these random cards as basically Digicross fodder. You're probably never going to Digivolve into them except for these dudes because they also have like the red bar cost. You see they have 2 Digivolution costs. So these guys you could at least Digivolve over your rookies, but like Damajiramon, it's never going to go anywhere near. Neither is that Callusmon because I don't believe that there is I don't see a Gamamon in here. So it's basically exclusively for this dorbicmon to hard slam and reduce with the Digicross inheritable, and then like with the Digicross mechanic, and then get some nice inheritable effects off of it like that Majiramon, letting you be more aggressive. So this is awesome to see get top 16. Huge congratulations to them. I love to see that creativity paying off at 10th place. Now we will go to our most recent results. This was just this weekend at the Play TCG event. This was over 400 players. Bloom Lord seems to be taking the top spot here with Metal Garurumon X in second, and Black War Greymon suddenly coming back into prevalence. So the winner of the whole tournament was Chris Sulk, who did get first place with Security Control. Here we see much more of a traditional Security Control build, although this one is a little bit more for Purple Splash. We got the Mimi in there, which is awesome. It shuts off your opponent's Hammer Sparks, because now if they want to gain one, they would need to play like at least 2 if you have 1 Mimi out. That's awesome for shutting them down. Then you have Mat for your memory tamer. You have Kari to make it annoying for them to swing into you if you get multiple of these, because you tap this if they swing at your security and they lose memory for each one that you have out. So that is awesome. Then the basic package, Bushiagumon lets you go for a game with Rush, Salamon lets you recover. There's that Avenge Kidmon, it lets you not deck out, you know, recycle stuff back into your deck. And then in a pinch, it could come up useful where it deletes something with its on-play effect to DeathXmon, because it's the main way you play around security control is to go wide enough so they don't have enough to delete your entire board, because they usually just spend a bunch of memory on one option card. But now they have a way to answer that as well with DeathXmon. 4 Holy Waves to keep making it annoying to swing into security, and of course the Degrade Hellscythe package to make your life miserable if you swing into security. It's a really strong deck. Then we see this tech's a really nice one, Viximon. Once per turn, when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, draw 1 card. So that's really great to help keep up their hand size, because that is something that security control has traditionally struggled with. They don't have a lot of draw cycling, you know, so they do fall behind in card advantage, and you can kind of just outpace them. Viximon fixes that up nicely, which is awesome. I have not been keeping up with security control lists until now, so I'm not sure if that's a recent tech that they discovered which let them win the tournament, but that is really awesome. Actually, let's go ahead and go back to the one 4 weeks ago and compare just to see if that is the egg people have been running now. It looks like this guy here, which let's give some credit where it's due. This is Ethan Teach. They were running Upamon, so that's a really old egg. I believe that's from all the way back in like 1.5. When attacking once per turn, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, draw 1. That definitely works, you know, if your opponent's being aggressive, but this way at the very least you don't have to worry about security count, you know, especially since you may be recovering out of that range pretty often. So that is a little bit more helpful in getting your draw off. So that's cool. I really do like that egg as the preference to go to for security control. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the other list at top. We have an Alphamon in second. I may have been burying the lead there a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. James Hernandez with Alphamon, second place after the ban list. So I'm really curious to see what this is like. They can only run the 1 of dorbicmon now because this card was limited to 1 because it did so much, man. This contributes to your OTK by getting so many security attack +1s. Then on top of that, it protects you from deletion and stuff like that too. It's so good. Other than that, it looks like the bottom end is completely the same because these are the best rookies. You know, you need that X antibody trait anyways, and they're also very helpful between Dorumon's Inheritable and the other Dorumon's ability to unbrick and draw into your pieces. Dorugamon and Dexterugamon for that important Digivolution reduced cost. And then we have Grademon seemingly making up the slack for losing Dorugamon. So this game is from Japan. Is this Grademon or Grademon? Someone please correct me. But anyways, this is a card I've not bothered to read because Dorugamon is so much better. You would run it in every scenario. Its card effect is when Digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Alphamon and its name among them to your hand, and place 1 card with X antibody trait among them under this Digimon as his bottom Digivolution card, trash the rest. I do like that for the momentum it could possibly give you and not brick, you know. And its inherit effect is if its Digimon has Alphamon in its name, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 5 or less. Cool, not bad. I think you definitely just need that to fill in the X antibody trait that you need now, you know, for the effects to work at the ultimate level. So that makes sense. We have the 1 of Alphamon from BT6 that is a secret rare. Then we have the pretty standard package after that. Hisyaru, 3 Alphamon and 3 Oryuken because they are your main win cons together. 2 Breath of the Gods, really useful to protect your Digimon, especially now that we don't see Doru Gray at 4. It's only at 1. 2 Final Zubagon Punch. That's really interesting because if you can't close out the game now, which is a lot harder admittedly for Alphamon now, you could at least make a big impenetrable blocker, so that's awesome. And Ultimate Flare to answer stuff. 4 cool boys because the card is absolutely absurd and the only egg you bother to run. I wonder how familiar the person running this deck was with it, you know, like is it like really experienced Alphamon player that knows the in and outs of the deck, because that could be helpful there too. So it's really interesting to see this do very well. Then after that we have Kenneth Albino with Grandis in 3rd place. So there's a lot of hype for Grandis, people saying that it's the better deck than Bloomlord if you want to run green. But as far as I'm aware, this is the first one, at least among these big, you know, the big 4 TOs. Big 4 to 5 TOs. This is the first one I've seen topping of it. There may be some smaller events like in Australia or something where it may have topped from TAC or something, but I'm not taking a look at those just yet. So it's really cool to see us getting 3rd place. But yeah, we see the Kokuamon. This is a new one, I believe, that was actually just introduced in BT10. Inherited once per turn. When it deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, gain 1 memory. Super solid effect to help you extend turns. And then we have Stingmon, again, gaining that memory. So it looks like that's a big priority of this deck with all the inheritables to be able to make bigger plays. 2 Grandis Soul, actually. That's pretty useful to have some extra removal on your side, and the 1 Death X. Then this is a tech that I really like here. They have the Middle Kabuterimon because it does offer a hybrid for game, which is valuable in any format, but also it looks like you digivolve over a level 4 for only 1. So in case of bricking, which, you know, is a death sentence for these OTK decks, in case of bricking, you could digivolve for only 1 and cycle, hoping to see the piece that you were missing. And then it does increase your sources number for your Digiburst fodder, you know? So that's pretty awesome. I do like this deck a lot. Really good deck building, only 1 X antibody option, and then 4 of the memory boost for consistency. Awesome to see that topping. Grandis is still a super solid deck. After that, we got Metal Garurumon X. It's still sneaking into top 8, but most of its results were just outside of top 8 and the top 16, so it's interesting to see that it went down a bit. I wonder how much that was like security control players knocking them out in the early rounds, or maybe Bloomlord was piloted really well into it. We see dorbicmon topping again, and I do believe that is the same player, right? Caden? Yeah, that's the same player, so congratulations to them. I wonder if they tweaked their list since then. It looks like it's slightly different. We have the one Omnimon X now, presumably to counter those OTK decks so they can't just keep swinging at you once you set up your board. So that's pretty awesome. Congratulations to them, man. This deck is doing well. A huge shout out to them for being able to make that work. Then we got Bloomlord just barely sneaking into top 8, the first one we see here, and Black War Greymon. Let's go ahead and take that by Brian Twan, and that is going to be Black War Greymon. Red base here, that's pretty awesome. Pretty standard looking. Whoa, nothing standard about Ragnar Lordmon, so that's really interesting to see that they have that Ragnar Lordmon, especially since it has like Digivolve Blitz, so I guess that's just another option to go into it. Really cool to see. But yeah, we have the dorbicmon there as well, so it looks like this deck aims to be really aggro, really aggro, so that's awesome to see there. And then after that, we got Metal Garurumon just barely missing out at top 8 and 9th, and Red Yellow Hybrid by Kevin Ambler. So here we see that, yeah, red base with the promo Gilmon and Digimon to be able to draw a ton when you swing with it. And then you have the option card Fireball for some draw consistency and a bunch of options, basically. Security control with a red-yellow, with a red base. Really awesome there. We do have another Mastermon sneaking in here at 11th place. This is Vincent Liu, aka Hayes. He has been on the channel a lot with Mastermon profiles, so if you guys are interested in hearing his thoughts on this Mastermon deck top 8, or rather top 16, let me know and I can ask him to do an interview for the channel. He has been on here a lot and is a good friend of the channel, so I would love to have him on for another deck profile if you guys are interested. The interesting upgrade I see here, like immediately popping out to me, is the Nidhoggmon. So this is really cool because when you discard this, it gives you 1 memory, I believe. I do believe you never go for the when digivolving effect. You're using this exclusively for the trashing your hand effect, which gains you 1 memory, which helps extend plays. And then you basically just got Mastermon things from there out. You got the Ordainmon, which is huge to be able to clear boards. 4 Mastermon, 1 Creepymon for the alt Woodcon of milling out security control players. And of course, you can't forget Venusmon to make sure Melga loses to you. Awesome. Maki there to help with the hard slamming if it comes down to it, and a Death X. Sick list there. Would definitely let me know if you guys are interested in a profile on it. Then we've got mostly Bloomlord rounding out the top 16, making it go up in representation a lot this time around. And I think as people get used to the deck and start piloting it more, get comfortable with it, we're going to see it topping more because it's a really solid deck that's only getting more support. I think it's great. Here we see the Star Deck Palmon that gives you a lot of DP to swing over something, and we have the 2 Pomomons. One stops your opponent from playing things through effects, and the other, when this one is suspended, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So really cool, solid low end. We have this 1 Sandi, 1 hidden potential, and then of course the 1 Shivamon. Shivamon must come in clutch because your board is already so suspended anyway, so if you want to make sure you just need that extra couple turns to lock your opponent out of an answer, Shivamon is really useful there. So I do like this a lot. Looks like a lot of decks are running 2 Sherrymon, 2 to 3, so definitely up that. I was suggesting 1 before because I feel like you wouldn't need it as much anymore, but you definitely still want it with Melga running around, so definitely up that Sherrymon count. And that is going to be our meta now. A nice look at the past couple of weeks of tournaments and what is growing, what are the trends. Seems Melga is by far North America's favorite deck, but there is a rising trend in Bloomlordmon because it is still a very strong, solid deck. And do not sleep on Security Control or Black War Greymon because they are creeping around and will smash you if you let your guard down. I hope you guys found this helpful. I know I always find helpful making these videos because they force me to be, aware on the meta and help me plan accordingly. So I'll see you guys next time, and until then, remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.